Interested in cycling the Route de Grandes Alpes in France? This is the video I wish I had before committing to riding one of the world's great bike routes. I just didn't want to know how wonderful and scenic it is, which it certainly is, but things like, can a middle-aged, non-elite athlete like me do it? How do I train for it? What not to bring or what to bring on your bike? What were the best and worst sections of the route? In this video, you're going to get the ultimate guide to conquering this ride. If you're interested in a more detailed look, check out my segment-by-segment video playlist that I'm going to link in the description below. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover, and I'm going to move quickly, but I'll break it up into chapters so you can skip ahead to the part that interests you the most. So what is it? If you don't already know, the Route de Grandes Alpes is a legendary 720-kilometer scenic route in the French Alps. And it starts in Thonon-les-Bains on Lake Geneva, and it weaves its way south to Nice, passing over anywhere between 17 to 23 high Alpine passes. There are over 17,000 meters of vertical ascent, depending on what variants you choose. Stats aside, it's the most beautiful and epic bike ride you can do on pavement anywhere. Okay, before we go straight into the must-knows about planning and training and tips for the road, let's talk about my top 5 most and least memorable parts of the Route de Grandes Alpes. Number 5, and this is my sleeper pick, Col de la Caole. I loved Col de la Caole because it felt like a hidden gem. Through this stage, you're on a less touristed section of the route with less traffic and development. And I love the little villages and the perfectly placed water stops along the way. Average gradient was only 4.4%, but still a respectable 1,200 meter climb. The col itself was low key, but still beautiful, just what I needed at this stage of the RDGA. Number 4, the Gorge du Gil. It's between Izoard and Col de Var, and it's a magical, unexpected canyon that follows the Gil River after descending the south side of the Izoard. I say unexpected because I didn't even think of the canyons as being a big feature of this trip. But there are so many beautiful ones just like the Gorge du Gil. This road weaves through this dramatic setting for about 20 epic kilometers. Number 3, the Col d'Izoard, home of many historic Tour de France moments and a very enjoyable and challenging ride. When starting in Briançon, you're sheltered most of the way by a lovely larch forest until you break out on a beautiful open plateau with the col in sight. The descent is a blast, and you'll pass through the edge of one of the most photographed sections of the Alps, the Casse Desert area. Number 2, Cormet de Roselend, and its breathtaking descent. If you leave Beaufort and take the Col du Pré variant up towards Lac Roselend, you're out of the trees from the very beginning with incredible views over Arèche, Lac Roselend, and the picturesque mountains surrounding the Cormet with waterfalls everywhere. It was just spectacular from end to end on this climb. And number 1 is Col de l'Iseran, and it deserves its billing as the crown jewel for Alpine cyclists in the French Alps. You've got the lovely ski town of Val d'Isère, endless climbs with expansive views for hours, and at the top, just the utter remoteness of it. Then there's also the postcard beauty of the descent on the south into Bonneval-sur-Arc. I'll never forget this descent. The 4 least memorable parts of the Route de Grandes Alpes, and I'm only going to make it 4, because I feel badly even making this list. The truth is, any climb on the Route de Grandes Alpes has something unique and memorable about it, and I would trade the best ride in my hometown of Vancouver for any one of these. But the truth is, they just can't all be the Iseran, so let's do this. Number 4, Col de Torini. This one seems like you never escape the trees. And also, and this is just me, I thought from this pass we'd get our first peak of the Mediterranean, but I was wrong. However, the descent was pretty special, I have to say. Number 3, Col de Saisy. This one, even though it's lovely and it's green because you're still in the Haute-Savoie region of the Alps and it's lush and beautiful, it just seems a little arbitrary that it's even a col at all. It just feels like the high point on a plateau where you arrive at a ski resort with a bunch of grocery stores and shops. Number 2, Col de Gé. This col was really busy with traffic as Léger is a popular resort town, and not the dramatic payoff you'd expect for a place labeled on the map as a col. In fairness, it didn't help that we were there during some mountain bike championships, so that made it even more stressful and packed with people. And number 1 on the least memorable list is Col de Castillon. This is not particularly scenic and it ends in a tunnel. But on the plus side, you get your first peek of the Mediterranean when you emerge from that tunnel, so that's a definite milestone. At only 600 meters, it's the smallest climb of the trip, but it's probably a good shoulder season training ride since you're now in the warmth of the Mediterranean. Before we get too far, let's ask the big question. Can you do it? Honestly, this is not for leisure cyclists or city commuters. But how fit do you need to be? Well, each day on the route, you'll probably climb over 2,000 meters and 100 or so kilometers for 7 to 10 consecutive days. If that shocks you, you're probably not ready. But before you click away from this video, the good news is you can get ready. You just need enough lead time and to focus on the right things. I'd say if you could train to the point where you're able to ride 75 to 100 kilometers and climb 500 meters a day for 3 consecutive days without being totally broken at the end, you're ready. In my experience, rather than get more and more exhausted as the days rolled along, I actually started to feel stronger by day 3 or 4. And by the end, I wasn't really ready to get off the bike. And also, mentally, you just feel more capable as you start racking up the wins day after day after day. All that aside, doing it on an e-bike is also an option. There are plenty of people doing it on electric bikes. But that doesn't get you totally off the hook from having to have some reasonable fitness. But it's miles better than resorting to joining that noisy horde of motorcyclists. If you can do it on an e-bike instead, do it. The Route de Grandes Alpes isn't one road. It's a network of roads that fan out and converge, giving you many options for the scenery and difficulty you want for each day's ride. And ultimately, all ending in Nice. The route you choose is based entirely on the size of the challenge you want to bite off. The most direct route that goes over all the iconic cols is a 7-day itinerary. While you don't need to be professional caliber to complete it this quickly, you should think about whether building in a buffer day or 2 for bad weather or rest is a good idea. Even in the peak of summer, just like we did, freak weather can completely wipe your plans out for a day. A couple of carefully selected buffer days give you much more flexibility, even if you just use your buffer day to do an out and back ride. We didn't plan a buffer day, so when the Galibier was closed because of a freak snowstorm in early September, we had to improvise our way to that next day's destination. But looking back, that day off the bikes was so important. Not only did we get to replenish and do some simple bike maintenance, but it gave us a renewed excitement to hit the road again the next morning after 4 huge consecutive days. For that reason, I'd say 8 days should be your minimum, with 10 days being the ultimate in flexibility if you have the time. Yep. So when to go? If you have full flexibility, don't listen when they tell you that any time between June and September is okay. If you want if you want your best shot at good weather, no snow at the passes, and a little less tourist traffic, I'd consider going in the last 2 weeks of August, first 2 weeks of September. Packing tips. I created a whole packing video where I went item by item through what I was bringing on the bike, so I won't repeat that here, and you'll find it in our RDGA playlist. Key is to prioritize safety against road conditions and weather, not fashion options. For clothing, I had 2 full cycling kits, 1 set of street clothes, and a jacket I could wear on or off the bike. Other than that, I just had a few key bike maintenance items and minimal toiletries. With everything you put on your bike or your back, ask yourself, is this something I'm okay with carrying 17,000 meters over the Alps? I got so brutal with that question that I ended up cutting my toothbrush handle in half, and you should think that way too. What not to bring? Don't bring all your bike tools and spare parts, aimed at some worst case scenario. You don't need 3 spare tubes. Bring 1, and then when you need to replace your backup, do that at your first opportunity. There are bike shops in every main town where you can replace that tube or fix your bar tape or tweak your shifting. Just think only about the high likelihood breakdowns that would strand you at the side of the road, not maintenance. One exception to that is chain lube. Definitely bring chain lube because you'll need it every morning before the bike shop opens. Same goes for first aid. Unless it stops you roadside, assume you can buy anything beyond band-aids and sunscreen, which you should bring with you, at a pharmacy in the next town if you really need it. What I wish I brought, 2 things really. Chapstick. That constant wind and sun exposure all day really beats up your lips, and mine were cracked and bleeding after about day 4. Zap straps. To repair, tighten, secure, anything. They take up no space and they have a million uses. On the very first day, I broke the proprietary plastic clip that keeps my pannier from spilling out all over the road, and a zap strap saved the day. Tips for the road. One of the things that was most concerning to me is what pace should I be setting when I'm on the Route de Grandes Alpes? Unless you're an elite cyclist with a lot of climbing experience, just completing the RDGA is the accomplishment. I would say don't get consumed with data and metrics or wrapped up in the peer pressure of being constantly passed all day on the road, as I was. Just set a consistent pace that works for you, but that allows you to truly enjoy yourself. Savor the views. Stop at the Coles for a Coke. Visit on the road with fellow cyclists. Take pictures of the cows.
Guys?
Really soak it in. These are memories you'll have with you forever, and it would be so lame if you had your face in your bike computer the whole way. I personally was happy to just chug along in my top gear, just focusing on feeling grateful for being there. Of course, everybody has different ability levels and ego, but I find that there's way more enjoyment to be squeezed out of the people, the scenery, and the experience than can be had from hitting a number on your Garmin. The effects of altitude. Depending on your route choices, the highest point on the RDGA is either the Cime de la Bonnette or the Col de l'Iseran, which are both about 2,800 meters in elevation. We did the Iseran, and I personally found it hard to detect if this altitude had any effect on me, because you're only up in that range for a short time while you summit, and then you're quickly back down the other side. And separating your exhaustion into whether it's the altitude or the 3-hour 50K climb you just did is pretty impossible. My sense is that you'd need to be a very high-level cyclist to detect this change in your performance due to altitude. So in general, don't worry about it. Respect for cyclists. I was really surprised to find out that cyclists are kind of the top of the ladder in the Alps. I was a little worried about sharing the road with motorcycles and cars and camper vans and trucks all day. But what I found was that, with very rare exception, people gave us a lot of space when they passed. They would often slow right down and sometimes even patiently wait behind me for a long time for a safe opportunity to pass. So you can feel safe on the road for the most part as a cyclist. Getting there and getting back. Since the Route de Grandes Alpes is a one-way trip, you're going to have likely some logistics to think about. In our case, we are a foreign visitor, so you have to kind of fly or train into Geneva, which is the closest to the starting point in Thonon-les-Bains. And then once you complete the ride and you're in Nice, you've got a few options to get back, but we found that they weren't great. So from Nice, you can either string together 2 or 3 trains, I don't remember which, to get back to Geneva, or you could rent a car and drive all day to get back. Or probably the best option, and the one that we did, is go to the local bike shop, get a couple of boxes, pack up your bikes, and take a low-cost EasyJet, Ryanair type flight back to Geneva where you began. I guess a fourth option is that you ride back to Geneva from Nice. And if you're going to do that, then just wow. So that's it. Again, if you want the detailed day-by-day review of this entire trip, please check out my Route de Grandes Alpes playlist, and which also includes that packing video, which will help you get set for your ride. I really want to hear about your experience on this road. I really want to hear your suggestions for other great epic rides on pavement anywhere in the world. Please leave those in the comments. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.